Hi there, welcome to my channel. I'm Sarah with Jujube Crafts and More. Thanks so much for stopping by. Today I'm bringing you 3 spring DIY crafts, so I hope you enjoy this video. To get started with our first DIY, we're going to take one of these egg plaques that I found at the Dollar Tree. These are the larger door hanging ones, and I'm just going to hot glue the glitter side down to a piece of craft paper. Next, I'm going to paint it with Waverly Chalk paint in the color white, and after that's completely dry, I'm going to add a layer of Mod Podge all over the top of this egg. To the Mod Podge, we're going to add a piece of this beautiful tissue paper that I found at the Dollar Tree. This was a pack that came in the wrapping section, and I just fell in love with this greenery, florally kind of tissue paper. I thought it was gorgeous, and I just couldn't wait to put it on something for craft. So then I'm going to adhere the tissue paper down to the wet Mod Podge, and then I'm going to add a layer of Mod Podge over the top. Now please be advised that this will not come out smooth. This will have texture, and if you don't like the texture, then maybe using some sort of a heavier paper would be more suited for your style. Next, I'm going to trim off all the extra edges of the tissue paper. And I'm going to add a piece of this burlap and lace ribbon that I purchased from the Dollar Tree to the front of this egg. After I adhered that on, I thought it needed a little something extra. So I'm going to take a piece of this regular lace ribbon that you can also purchase at the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to run it just in the middle of that white lace. It's kind of like an off-white lace, so it adds a little bit of texture and a little color variation to the front of this. And I'm just using plain old hot glue to adhere this all on. Next, I'm going to take some of this green sheer ribbon, and I just made a basic bow, and I'm going to attach that with some hot glue to the front of my little egg here. Well, it's not a little egg, it's a pretty good sized egg actually, as you can see from my hands. Next, I'm going to take one of these little crate boxes from the Crafter Square section at Dollar Tree, and I'm going to give it a coat of plaster from Waverly. I chose the plaster instead of regular white because the color on the tissue paper, like the background color of the tissue paper, isn't like a stark white. It is an off-white, and the stark white from our previous painting of the egg didn't really show through. So I thought that this complemented the egg better. Next, I'm going to take some twine, and I'm just going to wrap both handles with a little bit of twine, just to add a little more interest to this piece. So I wanted to say thank you to all my subscribers, the ones who have been with me since the beginning and the ones that are just joining me for the first time recently. I am so blessed and thankful for each and every one of you, and I am just thank you so much for joining me in my journey. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit that notification bell to all so that you're notified every time I upload a new video. So after we get both handles covered, we are going to take this is a 1 gallon stir stick, paint stir stick. I bought these off of Amazon in a pretty good size pack. I want to say there was 100 of them in there, but you can get them from hardware stores as well in smaller packages, and they're pretty inexpensive. So I'm just going to hot glue one of these sticks to the inside middle of this box, because ultimately what we're going to do is glue the egg to the stir stick. So I needed something to hold this egg up because it is fairly large. I want to say it's, I don't know what the dimensions are exactly, but it's pretty good sized. Now if you watched one of my previous video with my carrot garland, you'll know that I have a large fireplace that I decorate, and because it's so large, it needs some substantial pieces. So this is one of those things that I will put on my fireplace. So it was a little back heavy. The egg wanted to tip over the box, so I just added some of these little river rocks that you can buy in a package from Dollar Tree. And then I'm just gonna sprinkle on some of this reindeer moss right over the top, just to give it a little more of a springtime feel. After that, I'm gonna add some little sprigs of lavender. These lavender picks came from Walmart. Once I get all the sprigs in there how I like them, I'm gonna take one of these little ornaments. These are like the ceramic ornaments that you can paint yourself. And I'm gonna put that little bunny in there. I added some carrots for a little extra color, and I think that this piece turned out just adorable. So for DIY number 2, we're gonna take a package of these felt bunny garlands. Now I think 8 of them come in the package, and they come in a bunch of different colors. But we're gonna cover up the colors, so don't worry about that. Once we get them out of the package, we're gonna cut all the tails off. I just used a pair of scissors to cut the tails off. And here I'm showing you that I'm using a heat gun to get off the glue residue that was left over from the little tails. Now be very careful if you're gonna do this, because it easily melts those little bunny felt pieces. They're very plasticky actually, but the glue came right off, and it was really not a problem at all. So I'm gonna do a bunny ear transplant here. I'm just gonna take one of the bunnies, because I wanted one ear to flop to the left, one ear to flop to the right, and then I needed a bunny with its ears straight up in the air. So what I'm doing is I'm taking one, or actually 2 of the bunnies, and I'm going to just make 2 bunnies that have their ears sticking straight up. I know this is a little confusing, but I am gonna hot glue 2 of these bunnies together to create a more hardy piece, if you will. So it'll be a little more thick, and I kind of had an idea in my head as to what I was doing, but I didn't have a full idea as to where this was going when I was creating this. So you'll have to bear with me a little bit, because it was a little bit of trial and error. And you'll see there that the little bunny tail is still attached. The remnants of that tail is still attached to that bunny, but I do end up taking it off. So here you'll see me attaching that second ear straight up and down. And I did add a layer of Mod Podge. Now, again, like I said, I had an idea as to where I was going, but not 100%. So I don't really know that I needed the Mod Podge on there, but it did give it a little extra stiffness, which, you know, is fine in the end. Next, I'm going to take some hot glue, and I am just going to run a bead of hot glue around the perimeter of my bunny, and I'm going to attach it to some of this decorative paper. This paper I bought at Michael's a while back, but I'm sure you can find any spring cute papers from Hobby Lobby, Joann's, Michael's. You know, there are a lot of different places you can buy decorative paper. And these were just ones I had on hand in my stash. So I'm just gonna take my razor, and I'm just gonna go around the perimeter of this bunny to get rid of the extra paper. Now you'll see at the end that you can see the outside edge of these bunnies. So if that's not something you like, my suggestion would be, before you add the paper to it, to go around that very outside edge with a Sharpie or some paint or something, just to cover up the bright colors of the felt. I didn't do that, and actually I am not mad about it at all. I think it's cute with that little extra bit of color, but I know that's not for everyone. So just do what you like, and it'll turn out perfect. So I'm gonna take one of these Christmas ornament hanger signs, and I had started to do a project for it around Christmas time and didn't finish. So it was already painted with white chalk paint, but I want to take the little hanger part off of this and make this a round sign. So I'm just using my box knife, or my my blade knife, whatever you want to call it. And I'm just going to score this little edge a few times. And once you score it, 5-6 times, it'll just pop right off. And then you can use some sandpaper if you want to smooth it all down. I found just going over it with my box knife worked perfect. Next, I wanted to create some faux shiplap signs, or faux shiplap lines. So I'm just taking my ruler and I'm just doing 1-inch marks with my pencil. Now I had grabbed these are one of my drawing pencils, and it's actually a really hard pencil, so I suggest using more of like a number 2. Regular 2 pencil will work perfectly for this. And then you're just gonna smudge out those lines. So you can use your finger, you can use cotton tips. I am using I can't think of what they're called. It just smudges out the lines when you're drawing. So anyway, you want to smudge out these lines, it's perfect. However you get that look is going to be awesome. Next, I'm going to take my chippy paintbrush and a little bit of the Waverly Chalk paint in mineral, and I'm just going to do a light brushing of the mineral all over the white chalk paint. And then I'll go back over it with a little bit of the color plaster just to soften it up a little bit. And then we're ready to attach our bunnies. Now this sign is definitely not a sign you'll want to put outside unless you can seal it. You could probably put Mod Podge over it, but I'm not sure. The Mod Podge might wrinkle that paper up pretty good. So mine will just be an indoor sign, and it'll just be hanging on the wall. Next, I'm going to create a little bow for my middle bunny, and I am just using some of this pink gingham ribbon from the Dollar Tree. Now you can laugh. It's okay. Laugh at me. I laughed at myself too, but I did get that dovetail wrong. Yeah. Notorious for it. So I'm going to add some hot glue and add my little bow right to the middle bunny there. Next, I'm taking some of these Scrabble tiles that I picked up from Amazon, and I just spelled out the words. There's 2 words. Hello Spring. And I'm just hot gluing the very top edge of them to a piece of white twine. Because I knew I wanted these to kind of drape a little bit, and so I didn't want to secure them straight to the bunnies. So I'll just use my hot glue and I'll just secure each side of this twine to the back side of my sign here. And then I was playing with whether I wanted to put the little cottontail back on, and I did. So I put the cottontail back on and then added a hanger to the top, and I love that sign. So for our last DIY today, I wanted to create, you'll see it here in just a few minutes, but basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to create little bird nests. So I'm taking some of this Sculpey clay. This is the bake clay, so it's nice and soft until you bake it. And I bought this package for like 10 bucks at Walmart, and it came with like 12 colors or something like that, so it's a pretty good deal. But you can buy individual colors of Sculpey at like Michael's or Joann's, and I'm sure Hobby Lobby too. And then you could either just make them all white or one color, or you can paint them, whatever you'd like to do. So I'm just rolling those around until I get an egg shape, and I'll do that to 6. I'll make 6 eggs out of those colors. So 2 of each color. Next, I'm going to take these are just teacups that I've had laying around my house for forever. I mean, literally years. And but you can buy pretty teacups like this at thrift stores, and they're usually pretty inexpensive because a lot of people just don't use them and they get rid of them. So they're pretty easy to come by. And I am just using some Spanish moss here to create little bird's nests. I like the Spanish moss because it is easy to form into a bird's nest. Like, it just kind of clings to itself. And to me, it looks like a bird's nest. So I think that the Spanish moss is a win-win for creating little bird nests. So I'll just keep playing with this, rotating it and just essentially squishing the moss together to create my little nest. And I'll add a little bit of hot glue here and there. It doesn't need a whole lot, but when you do this step, just be very careful because obviously the hot glue will seep through the bits and pieces there. And then I'm just going to trim it off a little bit. This is some dried baby's breath that I had. It came in an arrangement that I had at one point or another, and it's just dried flowers. And I thought it would look sweet in there. And then this is some of the lavender from the Dollar Tree. Kind of has a frosted look to it. So then once I get that part of it done, I was like, well, I should probably put these into my cups before I do any more decorating. So I'm just going to add a little glob of hot glue into my cup there, and then I'm just going to lightly press that nest into the glue. So once I baked my little eggs up, I just speckled them with some paint, just using a paintbrush and watered down paint, and then just flicking the paint onto the little eggs to give them a little extra something to make them look a little more realistic. And then I'm just going to glue 3 of these little bird eggs into each of my cups. I like working in 3s because odd numbers are appealing to the eye, and I also have 3 daughters, so that kind of easily represents each of my little girls when I'm crafting. I like to think about them, so it works out. But you can add as many or as little eggs as you want into your bird's nest. There's no right or wrong here. So I had these little, they're like 3D flowers, and I think they're paper, but they're just little 3D flowers, and they have little sticky on the back of them. So I'm just kind of adding them into my bird's nest too, just for some extra spring colors and a little something extra. So for this one cup, my inspiration for these came from a picture on Pinterest, and in that picture they had this little cute banner that had the word spring on it. So I wanted to recreate that. So that's all I'm doing, is just creating a very basic banner shape, and I will just cut that out on craft paper, just that light brown colored paper. And then to create the banner edge, I just snip up a little bit in the middle of each one and go from the corner to the top of that snip line. And it creates a very cute, even banner. Again, snip up the middle, snip from corner to the top of that snip line, and from the corner to the top. Perfect. So now I'm going to use some of this Ranger archival ink in the color coffee and these stamps. I have no idea where I got these stamps, probably Michael's a long time ago. They're probably in the $1 or $2 bins. But I just pulled out the letters for the word spring. And I know that this isn't even, it isn't perfect, and I am 100% okay with that. I am not a perfectionist, and the more whimsical and off it is, the cuter I think it is. But if that's not your thing, then make sure that you get your letters in there perfect. And then you can use your own handwriting. You don't have to use stamps. You can use stickers. There's plenty of other things you can use besides stamps. And here is a little look at how that turned out. So to finish off my little bird nest cups, I'm just taking a long strand of twine, doubling it up, and then I'm just going to do a basic loop over the handle, and then I'll tie it off at the top. Now you don't have to use twine, you can use ribbons or whatever you'd like, and I think it would turn out beautiful. But here's a look at how these turned out. I am in love with these. I think they are just awesome, and I am going to be so excited to put these up in my house for spring. So as always, leave me a comment down below and let me know which project from today's video is your favorite. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for stopping by and joining me. I really appreciate each and every one of you. And I hope you all have a happy, healthy, and blessed day. And until the next one, bye!